As far as the physics is concerned, they are going to learn two fundamental topics. One of them is on communications and the other is on engines. The engines lesson is going to have two parts. It will have the steam engine, so we'll talk about how steam is used or was used earlier in the coal mines in England, and then how the steam engine came into, how was it invented and how was it used later on, not only in England but all over the world, including India. And then we go on to slightly more modified versions of the steam engines to understand the entire concept of how steam can be used as an energy source to be converted into movement. And then, as a connection to the steam engines, we then go on to teaching the students how an internal combustion engine works. These engines, of course, run on fossil fuels, petroleum, petrol, diesel, and so on and so forth. And these engines, again, will be taught to the students how a car engine works, how a diesel engine in a locomotive works, and they'll get an opportunity to open these engines, look into the individual parts, assemble them back, and hopefully get them running too. There is a practical part in all the physics lessons we do where the students not only learn the theory but they get an opportunity to work with the individual components which make up the particular equipment that we are teaching them about. The second part of the lesson would be on the communications. Historically, communications started with the telegraph, and after that the telephone, and then so on. We came on to things like the mobile phones. We would even talk about, for example, how a signal could be transmitted from the Earth to another place in the solar system. These lessons again will work on the principle of binary and analog, which in layman's terms is how do you convert an analog signal into a digital signal, and similarly, how do you convert a digital signal into an analog signal. So the principles of fax machines, for example, how do you actually transmit a fax message which has a picture and also has data across many thousands of miles. So these concepts will be brought to the students in a very detailed way and in a very practical manner. This camp is, as per the schedule, is going to be for 2 weeks. It might go a little beyond 2 weeks depending on the final additions that we plan to incorporate maybe in a month's time. But fundamentally, I would think that if we have 1 week for the heat engines and 1 week for the communications, that should suffice. Yes, all Waldorf main lessons always incorporate other activities because it's not possible to keep the students occupied with one topic or one subject throughout the day. You need to have a breathing out and breathing in process. So there will be games, there will be music, there will be art, and we'll also try to incorporate the art teacher in the main lesson wherever possible to ensure that all the drawings that are made to make the main lesson reflect what is taught in the class accurate, and we might even get the music teacher to come in and play some songs. We have always worked on the principle that you have to not only teach students intellectually, you also have to teach them practically, and you also have to meet their emotions at their developmental stage that they're in. They're at the moment, in the age range of about 15 or 16 years. So trying to impart knowledge to the students just using the blackboard and information that is available in books is not enough. You have to approach this through a manner where the students get engaged with the process through music, through art, through movement, through practical application of what is being taught. In the morning, students will generally start around 8:30 after breakfast, and that goes on. The main lesson goes on for about 1.5 to 2 hours. So we would probably finish around 10 or 10:30, and then they would get a break. After that, we would probably continue with the main lesson topic. And then in the afternoon, we would introduce things like music and art, and maybe later on in the latter part of the afternoon, some games. And in the end, we come back to the classroom to consolidate all that was taught in the morning. This would be a typical day. However, at times we might change the format depending on what is happening in the classroom on a day-to-day basis. Well, all the parents that I have interacted with in the various camps that we've conducted in India as well as overseas have always been positive. There have been some critical comments, and that's always helped us to improve the next program that we conduct in whichever subject we happen to be teaching. By and large, most parents are extremely happy that the students are engaged, that they have the opportunity of learning certain skills which normally in a mainstream school may not be imparted. For example, they might learn scuba diving, they might learn how to snorkel, they might learn how to ski, they might learn how to take an engine apart and put it back again. I mean, there are different skills which the children can learn in all the programs that we conduct. So the general feedback we've got is the students as well as the parents are extremely happy with these courses. We've had students who come from mainstream schools in India, as well as, if I remember right, from schools overseas. And they have assimilated very well, I think, for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is since we are not focusing only on the academics, we are also focusing on a skill, like I said before, scuba diving or learning to, design an engine, uh, assemble an engine, um, maybe even paint and learn music, for example. So these are activities which are universal. They are applicable in any school, irrespective of what pedagogy that is being followed. So given the fact that that is quite strong in our programs, the students have been able to assimilate with the Waldorf students who would probably be the substantial number in our courses. If these additional programs and additional activities were not there in the schedule, I think there could have been a problem if the students had come in and just joined up with our students that have been studying in Waldorf schools. And the other thing is, Waldorf students I have found are generally extremely accommodative. So if they find somebody who's not experienced the kind of education they have, they try and bring them into the fold in the classroom as well as any outdoor activity that is planned. So by and large, I don't see a problem. And I think it'll be good for the mainstream school children to join these programs. I think one has to look at this question from a holistic perspective, and that is what do we really want to get our children to understand and learn? The processes in Waldorf schools is that we are not teaching the content primarily, we are also teaching the process of learning any content, be it physics, be it music, be it art, liberal arts, any subject that you take. It's the process which we are slowly inculcating in the students. And if the students understand how this process can be applied to anything in life, which obviously in the schooling years will mean how to get a reasonable good mark in various subjects and get a nice grade and when they leave schools and so on and so forth, I don't think they will miss out anything if they understand the process that we are trying to impart to them in those 2 weeks that they happen to be with us. As far as the content is concerned, one has to look at it on a case to case basis. So in the 2 weeks, let's assume they're doing five lessons of mathematics and five lessons of science and maybe five lessons of games. Each individual school child will have to see what the lessons are, what the content is, and there are two or three ways in which this content can be assimilated by the students. Either they can get the program from their teachers in advance, where they on their own can do a little bit of self study and try and keep themselves abreast with what is happening with their peers who are not coming for this program, or they can even come to these programs and during the spare time or free time that they have, they can try and study up or even ask the teachers who are attending this program if they have knowledge in the subjects that are required to help them to learn the concepts that they are otherwise missing in school. I don't personally see that there is any problem in the students catching up with by missing 2 weeks of schooling. The gains that they will have, the advantages is that they are being exposed to many things which otherwise they would not be. They're being put in slightly uncomfortable situations in relating to people whom they have not met before, maybe a different culture if they're going overseas. And these are all learning processes. And if these learning processes are understood by the child, I think basically their ability to score a good mark in the exams that they write in future will always be of a higher standard than if they don't do these programs. Every lesson that we conduct, there is a report given by all the teachers who are conducting the lesson, be it the main lesson teacher of a subject, it could be the music teacher, it could be the games teacher. So the student will get a report at the end of the program, which will be incorporated into the main lesson book that they submit to us for correction and evaluation. That is a very generic evaluation. It's not that we give them a certain mark, but we definitely can grade them should the parent require it. So we have some parents who come from the Waldorf background who say we don't want a grade, but we want to know how our child is in different areas of experiences. So we then give them, a comment of maybe 3 or 4 lines from the individual teachers as well as a general comment from all the teachers. So those parents are satisfied with that maybe 1 page report about the child. Some other parents, homeschoolers, and maybe even some who are going to mainstream schools have asked for a grade. So we grade them on, A, B, C, D, E. I think there are 5 levels, and then we give them a grade for the work that they have done, the experiences that they have exhibited during this program, and they take that report and use it for whatever purpose they need to. They will be given dormitory accommodation, and they'll be staying in one dorm, boys, girls segregated. And there will be the teachers also with them, maybe about 2 or 3 teachers who will be looking after the duty of care of the children on a day-to-day basis. They will have a place to have their food, and they will obviously have a classroom space where they can work during the day, and a reasonable amount of space to play games and have a few outdoor activities that are scheduled. I think the outdoor activities, we could incorporate a couple of them. One is going into the city wherever the camp is being conducted and looking at various important historical buildings, museums, zoos, parks, etc. The second one would be to go on a run as a daily schedule in the morning and the evening, do some physical activity, which is a little strenuous. And of course, during the games period, they would get a chance to play some outdoor games, which are available in the area where the camp is being conducted. Besides this, we could also think, we haven't yet finalized it, but we could think of a trek in a nearby village or town, a mountainous area where they can climb up and climb down.